Spin, spin, spin.
I appreciate
You're
your
live,
silver
it
lining, by the way,
says.
Mikey.
Apparently, we are streaming as we speak.
I also
there
really
is-
liked the Joker, Mikey. I think we should all watch the Joker more.
Oh yeah.
For that hour-long
Really?
dissertation, Michael,
Yeah.
on why the Joker is the best movie ever.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Worst
hello.
First Chapter. We're joining in media res. Hi, everybody wave.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Paul Sabourin. This is Worst First Chapter. You know what this is because you had to click on something intentionally to see it, but just in case, I will go through the gist, which is I've asked a bunch of my smart, funny friends to write some intentionally terrible first chapters to pretend books that don't actually exist. It can be in their voice. It can be written as another author, either a pretend author or an actual author. It can be in any genre. It can be fiction or nonfiction. For the most part, I have no idea what all of these folks are about to read to you, other than I know it's going to be great. That said, as it says on the little note thing on the YouTube, again, I am pointing to the screen that has YouTube going right now. I don't know why that would mean anything to you all, but I'll continue to point to it. Their content warnings. I don't know whether or not there's going to be naughty stuff in here, but if you're watching this with your 5-year-old, maybe don't. This is the second of 3 planned Worst First Chapter live streams. These are designed to, among other things, raise funds for the Actors Fund, which is an organization. They provide support and services for professionals in the entertainment industry, people who both work on stage and screen and people behind the scenes, set dressers, makeup artists, stagehands, musicians, all sorts of people. They provide a whole bunch of really wonderful and valuable services for people in the entertainment industry and people who had been in the entertainment industry. They do things, among many other things they do. They provide social services and financial assistance, affordable housing. They provide medical care and health insurance counseling and enrollment support, senior care, as well as career counseling and employment training. It's a really wonderful organization. You can donate at any time, either during this stream or anytime after the stream at bit.ly/worstfirstdonate. The link is also in the description of this live stream. If you're watching it after it's live, the description is still there. And for the at least for, I believe, the duration of May, I think I'll leave it open to. We're working towards a $5,000 goal. As I hit refresh, we are right now at 1,437. I would really love to double that before this stream is over, if we can. Which we might be able to, because we have a whole bunch of people with us streaming. Speaking of whom, let's get right to them. Everybody wave again. You'll meet them all individually in a second, but we are going to have our first piece, and it's going to be by me, because I said so, because it's my show, and I want to get it done so I don't have to worry about it anymore, because I finished it about an hour ago. But before I get to that, let's take a look at everybody's custom background game here. Laser, is that, what is that from?
I know what it is.
This is my house in Animal Crossing.
Oh, okay.
Hello, welcome to my house. I have a very fancy piano. I have a cello.
I've come to steal your fossils. I need a Diplo head.
I got my last fossil yesterday, so
Ooh,
you can have all the extras I have.
Do they throw any kind of like party for you when you complete like the fossils and whatnot?
They throw a lot of parties for you in Animal Crossing.
I know, but do they throw one for you when you do that specifically? I wonder.
No, they don't, Paul. Okay, they don't. I'm trying to yes you, but no. Okay, this is the one thing you don't get a party for, and I'm kind of upset about it.
Inquiring minds want to know. Mark Champion, I don't know who he is, but he's on the stream. What are you in front of, Matt?
I'm in front of the streets of the village of Westerberg. The low-res monochrome Hercules monitor streets of Westerberg.
The village founded by Paul Westerberg.
Yes.
Home of the replacements.
Yes.
The Skyway. There's Skyways everywhere.
Okay, excellent. Storm, who are you in front of, or what?
This is the future. That's the future. It'll be relevant later. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to put it up if I just put it up later. So I'm in the future now.
Okay, fair enough. An air of mystery to the show already. And everybody else has their regular Dummel houses, I think, myself included, right?
You don't know that. They might be somewhere else, and that's just they're photoshopped into a different house.
Or it could be an
Yeah, but-
image of the room that they're in that they've put up.
That's
behind
right.
them.
I'm in the
entirely
middle of
possible.
a burglary myself. I into another person's home.
Okay, well, we'll try to get you on early in the show so you can get out of there. Okay, I'm going to bend the rules slightly because, again, my house, my rules. This is not actually from a book because they don't have to be from a book. They could be, a script or even song lyrics. This in particular is from a magazine article. It is from Esquire magazine, their features section, August 3rd, 2020. I'm going to get it into character now. Here we go. The pursued, the pursuing, the busy, and the tired. Ryan Simeon's wild ride. I just realized I need to go into speaker view. Now I'm speaking. Ryan Simeon's balls itch, and he doesn't care who knows it. It's 3:15 p.m. on a punishingly hot Tuesday in July, and I'm sitting in a back booth in the Mel's Drive-In Diner near the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Highland Avenue in Los Angeles. It's no exclusive trendy night spot like Sky Bar at the Mondrian, nor a recently hip again Hollywood institution like Musso and Frank, and we can thank Quentin Tarantino for driving the final nail into that place's new coffin. And not some obscure avant-garde art food restaurant that only famous people know about, like the pop-up molecular gastronomy hut in the closed Umami Burger location in Burbank, or the Blowfish hatchery operating out of the back of a Van Nuys Yum Yum Donuts. Instead, I'm here at Mel's, perusing the oversized laminated menu of pancakes, chicken tenders, tuna melts, 9 different types of burger, and Debbie's homemade Texas chili. Mel's family recipe, according to the menu. It's deep in the heart of the tourist district, riding the surf of selfie sticks and screaming bored kids and shorts-wearing dads and weary soccer moms and Asian grandmas. Mere steps away from the Hollywood Wax Museum, Madame Tussauds, a Hooters, and both the El Capitan and Chinese theaters. I'm here because my companion for today's late lunch insisted that we meet here. As it happens, the El Capitan and the Chinese are each currently playing one of his movies. Heatseeker, Blaze of Glory, the third film of the Catastrophe Merchant franchise, was #1 at the box office for the previous 5 weeks, only to be dethroned this past weekend by Disney's $275 million live-action remake of the Gnome-Mobile. 60 seconds ago, the unmistakable face on the posters of both these blockbusters and the chiseled body attached to that face plopped down in the booth next to me. Not across from me, but next to me.
Oh.
I'm here to split short rib nachos and mozzarella nibs with Ryan Simeon, the undisputed biggest movie star in the world right now. In person, he looks pretty much exactly what you'd expect him to look like, only more so. The tousled blonde hair that brought him to such prominence during his 4 seasons on the CW series Trouble Boys. The piercing, soulful hazel eyes that so captivated Olivia Wilde in their 2010 surprise breakout hit, The Johnstown Flood. The dreamy, mathematically perfect jawline that so memorably took punches from Brad Pitt, Michael Fassbender, and Jessica Chastain in the critically drubbed but tween-beloved epic Rangoon. The delicious, dewy lips that Bryce Dallas Howard couldn't stop kissing in the period drama Ecclesiastes. I mispronounced that word. And the ever-present saffron Gap pocket tee, today worn under a $7,800 Tom Ford Mandarin collar motorcycle jacket, as seen in hundreds, if not thousands, of paparazzi photos taken of Simeon and Emma Watson during their 5-year relationship, which ended in 2018. Em's a peach, Simeon would tell me later. We were just what each of us needed at the time until we stopped needing each other and needed other things. Did you know that she's British? Over the coming week, Simeon and I would talk all about his childhood in Bel Air as the son of Owen Simeon, award-winning producer turned longtime head of production at Warner Brothers, and Anazette Radcliffe Berkshire Simeon, heiress of the wiffle ball fortune. About the whirlwind that surrounded him after the worldwide mega success of the first Catastrophe Merchant film, The Extermination Circus. Of the 9 films currently on his calendar, including the next 4 Catastrophe Merchant films, which are being shot simultaneously, as well as his side ventures, including his funding of over 40 pigeon sanctuaries across the Pacific Northwest, and of Bavarian Bushido, his proposed nationwide chain of Reiki-themed beer gardens. Over the course of our lunch, Simeon would order a breadless ham and Swiss sandwich off menu, producing a Ziploc bag from his jacket pocket with his own bread slices. "I got a challah guy in Los Feliz," he whispered conspiratorially with a juicy wink. And he would play an obsessive game of peekaboo with the toddler in the booth behind us for a full 20 minutes before finally loudly declaring victory. And he would exude gregarious, regular guy energy, shooting finger pistols at passersby, posing for every requested photo, and graciously and carefully signing every proffered breast. But before all that, right this second, Ryan Simeon has to scratch his balls. "God damn, do my balls itch!" he shouts repeatedly with a laugh. "Hooey, I sure got to scratch these balls of mine." He stands in the aisle, slowly rotating like a gyro meat cone, both hands firmly jammed into his jeans, emphatically and assiduously jackhammering away at his testicles. He shouts and spins and scratches like the world is his, which it is. This will go on for quite some time. I will patiently wait for him to finish, because when you have lightning in a bottle, you don't park in the runway. Thank you. So that was a thing.
Juicy winks.
Juicy wink, yep.
Mm-mm.
You read jackhammering his testicles so softly, it was like AMSR.
I know what you mean, Joseph. Let's go back to my little list. Speaking of Joseph Scrimshaw and what he needs, please welcome to the virtual podium our next reader. He is a comedian and a writer and a podcaster and an old friend of the Paul and Storm organization. Please welcome Joseph Scrimshaw. Hi, Joseph.
Hello. I'm happy to be here in my home.
Wait, you're burgling your own home?
I am burgling my own home. There's some things that I wanted from myself, and I won't let me have them. It's very painful on many levels. Do you need anything else, or should I dive in?
You can read, or you can plug your stuff first or after.
Oh, I'll plug after. I'll see if I deserve it.
Well,
if I've earned it.
Let's go right to the work then.
Okay, this is a private detective yarn. It is called The Big Me, a private detective story by me, about me, starring me, not the real me, a fictional me. I stood at the window of my office, looking out through the windows of my soul. Through my eyes, my soul could see what was outside my office. It was simple. That's just how windows work. Anyway, it was raining hard in Los Angeles, but then it stopped. And I saw some people who were only mildly damp go into a Jamba Juice. The sun was shining again in Los Angeles, but not in my soul. My soul was dark, like something that's inside your body, like guts or feelings. I turned away from the window, sat down, and thought about myself. My name is Devin Darkheart. I'm a private detective, and yet I'm also a highly advanced robot. And yet still, I'm also an undead zombie ninja. I can hear your mind screaming with questions. What how? What how can you be all these things at once? I scoff at you, philosophically. You see, the answer was simple. I could be all those things because I'm making this up in the office of my mind. My office was also a spaceship, an abandoned amusement park, and a Chipotle that made burritos where the tortilla was also a whole pizza because screw you, it can be anything I want. I'm making this up. Anyway, I stared at the door of my office. Any minute now, she'll walk back in. Oh, here she is now. You don't have to wait for things when you're making them up. The point is, she walked in. My old flame, my old enemy, reality. That was her name and her symbolic meaning. Let me describe her. She had legs that were completely normal. They started and ended exactly where you might expect. She had locks of red hair like locks of red hair. A third thing about her was also realistic. She was reality, and I needed a drink if I was going to accept her. I ignited my whiskey sword, and I drank straight from the blade. Devin Darkheart, she said in a realistic way, I've got a case for you. Tell me about it, I said in a not sarcastic, actually asking sort of way. She said, I need you to solve the mystery of yourself. Was there that much to figure out? Maybe I was a robot because I was so cold, so unfeeling, so good at Sudoku. Maybe I was a zombie ninja because I wanted to eat brains so silently people didn't even know their brains were gone. Maybe I was a private dick because I was saying all of this out loud. Reality stared at me with nothing mysterious in her eyes, just pupils. I leapt to my feet and said, listen here, reality. I'm Devin Darkheart, and Devin Darkheart can solve the mystery of Devin Darkheart in a matter of seconds. Who is Devin Darkheart? Who is me? The answer is... If you would like Devin to be a robot, flip to page 187. If you would like Devin to be a zombie ninja, flip to page 3422. If you would like Devin to shut the fuck up, throw this book out of the window and into the Jamba Juice of your very soul. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Oh, you're welcome.
My favorite part beyond all of the content is the fact that you've got a podcast set up there behind you. I assume for the after show, the Talking Worst First Chapter session immediately following this.
Yeah, After Worst? Yeah, After Worst is going to be on
After Worst.
just a few seconds. I already recorded Before Worst with all the predictions. Calculations.
Joseph, please feel free to plug any events, items, things, or whatnot that you wish to plug at this time.
Excellent, excellent. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram is at Joseph Scrimshaw, and I record podcasts sometimes behind me, but now over the internet mostly. You can follow my podcast Obsessed, or I have a Star Wars podcast called Force Center. You can also find comedy albums, a comedy book, and future comedy shows, damn it, all at my website at josephscrimshaw.com. And the other charity, the other place you can donate that I would like to highlight is the Navajo Nation Relief Fund. For information on that, you can go to ndncollective.org and then / Navajo Nation Relief Fund. That's it.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
We're big on applause.
Second round of applause.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's unprecedented. Let's go right to our next author. They are a wonderful musician, half of the beloved Double Clicks organization.
Mm-hmm.
They are a podcaster. They are a fundraising guru.
Mm-hmm.
And they are wonderful people. Please welcome Laser Malena-Webber. Is it Malena or Melina?
Melina.
Laser Malena-Webber.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm going to do my plugs first. I'm in a band called the Double Clicks. Buy our albums and follow me on internet. Okay. Thank you, Kayla, for the thumbs up. All right. My first chapter is called Emeralds. Emmerich's adventure to the Emerald City of Emeriz and his relationship with the Emerizian people, specifically Emerian, the beautiful woman. Chapter 1. A dark cape rounded a dark corner, darkly striding down the darkest cobblestone street. Below the dark hood was a figure with darkness in his eyes, mystery, magic, a flicker of pain, a memory of a cold night when his former life had been taken from him, a memory of a warm childhood when the stars lit the sky and the cows filled the air with their moos and their smell. But those cow-filled days were over. It was a dark night in Emeriz City, the city where Emmerich, this dark-cloaked figure, had spent his whole life. That is, ever since that dark night that made him the deep brooding figure he now was. Every night was dark in this town, a town lit only by the street lamps, fires, and oil lamps, as well as other sources of light. A candle in a shop corner reflected off the metal bracer on Emmerich's left wrist. His right wrist was also adorned with a metal bracer. He had a boot on each foot made of leather. leather pants, a shirt, a jacket, and then a cloak over his jacket. His face had hair on it in a beard area, as well as over his eyes as eyebrows. Emmerich was a human man. Emmerich rounded another corner and saw a sight that chilled him to his core, or it would have, if his heart had not already been chilled by his dark past and the cold moments that had taken his warm family from him and frozen his heart. A bolt of lightning struck in the distance, filling the air with a burst of light and noise. Emmerich knew immediately that this was no normal lightning. He had a feeling it was evil magic's. Emmerich had a way of sensing trouble. It was something he could never quite explain. Emmerich's cold and motionless, traumatized yet strong eyes widened at the realization the lightning strike had hit the castle. The Emerald City and Emmer's City was where the princess and Marion was, and Emmerich knew this. He had never met the princess, but he loved her. To him, she was perfect. Not a whole human being, but more of an object, a prize, a concept, and he knew he needed to protect her. Emmerich rounded the front of the Ameria Tavern and found a horse. It wasn't his horse, but he mounted it anyway. Emmerich had always had a way with horses. It was something he could never quite explain. As he urged the horse onward through the city streets toward the castle, Emmerich furrowed his brow, each wrinkle in his forehead representing a dark moment in his dark past. He breezed over the cobblestones, his horse wet with horse sweat, the wind blowing back his cloak, hair, beard, eyebrows, jacket, pants, and boots. The bracers were metal and unaffected by the breeze. Emmerich wondered why he still tried to do good in a world so evil. He remembered when his mother would dance in the Midsummer Festival while the wizards set off fireworks before a dragon came and set his mother on fire, killing her instantly. Fire, fire, fire like the fire that was enveloping the castle as he rode toward it. Fire, fire he remembered like the one his sister had used to make his favorite stew every solstice before the sheriff cut off her head to prove a point about taxes. Taxes. Taxes like the ones set by the unjust king, the father of his love, Princess Marion, a woman he had never met. Emmerich was sure that Marion would be the one to save him from the trauma of a life full of pain. Pain experienced not by him, but by the women around him who were constantly dying. Dying like Emmerich's first sweetheart, Emma, who drowned in a pond because she got tired. Tired like his father, Emmer Richard, who retired happily to a fishing community when he got tired of parenting. Emmerich finally arrived at the castle, dismounted the horse, and approached the front gate. It opened at his touch. Emmerich had always had a way with gates. It was something he could never quite explain. The castle was silent, aside from the roaring fire, deafening in its attack on the castle's upper towers. Screams filled the air, as well as the sounds of people running away from the fire to be safe, toward the fire to die in a futile attempt to fight fire with buckets of water. Emmerich watched the castle guards and castle servants as they died. As they ran to help to the rescue, he remembered everyone he'd lost. Emmerich slowly reached into his cloak, and in every second he spent dwelling on his past, another nameless peasant died. Eventually, Emmerich removed his wand from his pocket. Although Emmerich had many pockets in his jacket, he knew exactly where the wand was. He'd always had a way with pockets. It was something he could never quite explain. And with one gesture, a snap of his wand, and a simple word, Quentius, Emmerich extinguished the fire with magic. Emmerich was the most powerful wizard in all of the land of Em. A fleeing house cat turned his eyes to the wizard and spoke in the language of magic, which Emmerich could understand. "Are you serious, dude? You could have done that like 5 minutes ago and saved 200 people," said the cat. But the cat didn't know the weight of the pain in Emmerich's heart. The cat didn't know his inner demons. Emmerich had always had a way with inner demons. It was something he could never quite explain. End of chapter 1.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely, wonderful. We are just taking a quick check over at the GoFundMe. We're up to $1,851.
Hey.
So
Yeah.
so far.
Do it.
Doing it.
Donate.
Say the
Hey,
say the
doing it.
URL again.
The URL is bit.ly/worstfirstdonate. The link is also in the description in the live feed YouTube channel thingy. Boy, that made me sound all of my 50 years, didn't it? Our next author is someone I have known for quite some time. I did the math in my head just before this broadcast and realized that we have been performing and writing together in various iterations for 27 years.
Whoa, that's
Yeah, I
longer than
know.
many people are alive right now.
It is true. He
Sadly.
is a musician, one half of Paul and Storm, co-founder of the Joco Cruise, and my very good friend. Please welcome author Storm DiCostanzo.
Thank you, Paulie, and also to my assembled colleagues, whom I respect most sincerely. There are two kinds of people in this world, those who love science fiction and those who love stories about the mob. I am both of these type of people, and I am pleased to present The Godfather Part 4000, Chapter 1. Being in the far distant future, which it most assuredly was, it should be of no surprise to any self-respecting palooka that things were both topsy and a little turvy on the far-off galactical planet of New York. Godfather 4000, said a tremulous individual. Who is it that comes appealing to me, the 4,000th Godfather, on his galactic daughter's astronuptial day, said Don Tito Crimbino. As everybody knows, he was, in the future, the umpteenth grandnephew, twice removed, of that most illustrious and doleful Godfather who we all respect and covet so well that we do not, in actuality, need to name him by name. Don Crimbino, it's me, Jimmy Two Claws, said Jimmy Two Claws. And I am not so much appealing as I am a worrying, specifically and respectfully about Jimmy One Claw. Jimmy One Claw, said Don Crimbino. Your brother? Yeah, said Jimmy Two Claws. 3 days it has been since he was supposed to be back from New Jersey. Relax. He's just sleeping with the fishes. Relax. Respectfully, this is of no comfort to me whatsoever if he is in fact dead at the bottom of the ocean, as your colorful metaphor would imply. I think perhaps you misheard, said Don Tito. He is merely playing hide and squeak with Lucy and Daisy Fisher, the Fisher sisters. Sleeping with the fishes? Oh, that's terrible, said Jimmy Two Claws. Terrible? You should be pleased to know that your brother is not dead, by colorful metaphor or otherwise, said Godfather 4000. Respectfully, I am pleased, said Jimmy Two Claws. I am just sad for my sister-in-law, Marie One Claw, for it seems my brother has returned to his gadabout ways with those two Fisher Gumas of his. But hey, what you gonna do? Hey, Gumas, said Don Tito. Hey, Gabagoo, said Jimmy Two Claws. Ah! But you also seem to have forgotten an important thing, Jimmy, said Don Crimbino. An astro-wise guy, such as Jimmy One Claw, or you, or myself, faces no peril whatsoever to be underwater for a prolonged period of time. Of course, said Jimmy Two Claws, smacking himself upside the melon. I have somehow forgotten, respectfully, that we are all giant lobster people, and that we are, in fact, at the bottom of the ocean at this very moment in the future. Thank you, Don Tito. You are most welcome. To be a mobster lobster is a noble thing. Now tell me, how went your visit with our good friend Carl Moviebucks? Carl Moviebucks? You mean the same big-time film producer you said wouldn't let our pal sing a Johnny Anemone out of his contract? With all due respect, that does not seem like much of a friend. Ah, but what you do not understand is that any enemy of an enemy is a friend. Ouch, that's so terrible that I did not heretofore understand that, said Jimmy Two Claws. But my respectful ignorance notwithstanding, I am happy to report that Carl Moviebucks will not be a problem for us no more. So you did as I instructed and put the head of his favorite seahorse in bed with him as he lay sleeping? Not exactly, said Jimmy Two Claws. I regret to inform that I did not catch the part about only using the head, as I am sometimes respectfully hard of hearing when in your respectful presence. I understand, said Godfather 4000. But then how is it that Carl Movie Box has agreed to release our friend from his contract? Well, said Jimmy Two Claws, it turns out that for some time he has had a thing for this particular seahorse, but heretofore did not have the gagoots to make his move. And it further turns out that both parties were into it. So much so that Mr. Movie Bucks, on being told that it was by your generous grace that such beautiful music was made, agreed to release Johnny Anemone from his contract. I am happy to hear it worked out. So much so that I forgive you for screwing up my orders and for misusing the word gagoots. Thank you, Don Crimbino, said Jimmy Two Claws. Is there anything else I can do for you at this momentous time? Forget about it. I appreciate your loyalty, Jimmy Two Claws. You are family to me, and I appreciate yours and Jimmy One Claw's sacrifice when your older brother, Jimmy Three Claws, briefly became Jimmy No Claws before becoming dead. He was happy to crack up in your service, Godfather 4000, for he respected and loved you so very much, as do we all. Thank you, said Don Crimbino. This is why I and so many of my associates came along to pay our respects at his funeral. I will always remember it, said Jimmy Two Claws. It was beautiful. There was Nicky Bananas, Shrimpy the Fist, Kid Creole, Reef Wellington, Blubberface, Baby Shark, Left Shark, Knucklefin Johnny, Blowfish Johnny, No Fish Johnny, Gluten-free No Fish Johnny, Johnny Saucepan, Johnny Ruxpin, John the Johnny, not Johnny, just kidding, I'm also a Johnny, Jimmy John, Jimmy Jim Jam, Razzmatazz Jimmy Esquire, just plain Jimmy, and the Octomooch. Yes, said Don Tito. And last but not least, do not forget about the Magic Rat, Crazy Janie, Hazy Davy, Jack the Rabbit, Weak Knee Willie, Rosalita, and Bruce Springsteen. I will never forget, said Jimmy Two Claws. Bada bango! Hey, what you gonna do? Said Don Crimbino. Hey, I'm a lobster in the future. Isn't that crazy? Said Jimmy. Yeah, we're in space. Hey, said Godfather 4000. End of chapter 1.
Your background makes sense now, Storm. I get it now.
Hey, it's the future. What you gonna do?
Hey, I didn't forget about it. Storm, do you have any charity or charities that you would wish to also plug?
I will just say I'm pitching your local food bank. That is my addition because it's under a lot of stress right now, and that's something that can help people right away. In addition to all the good that is being done sorry, I got mob on my brain for all these.
Thank you for that, Storm. Wow, checking over on the big board, we had a flurry of donations. We are now up to $2,856. Yay, us! Thank you very much, everyone.
Storm.
I will also, to be clear, I will mention, thank you all of those of you who are able to donate. Please, no donation is too small. Please only donate what you can. If anything, if you can't afford it right now, that's absolutely fine too. Find a way that you may be able to donate your time or your attention or other people's attention by drawing, retweeting and drawing other people's attention to charities and causes that you care for. That said, we greatly appreciate your donations. And let us go to our next author. Our next author, according to their Wikipedia page, is an American YouTuber and video game writer. They are essentially 100% completely responsible for video games you love, like Borderlands and Borderlands 2, despite what the credits may say of bunches of other people involved. Mikey also runs a wonderful YouTube channel called Movies with Mikey, among many others. I'm a huge fan. and he makes a damn killer chili. Please welcome Mikey Neumann.
Hello. I have to follow Storm. I feel like this was unfair. I didn't bring an accent. I did bring an elongated, very terrible Dan Brown joke. My novel is called Murder at Cheddar Bay by Dan Brown. The joke is Brown writes in like kindergarten sentences. Just telling you ahead of time. Chapter 1. Excuse me, the pro YouTuber is talking. His name was Enrique Glosson, but everyone called him Skits. It was short for biscuits. He made the biscuits. They were slammed that Thursday at work. 2 waitstaff had already quit that week. Who was going to make the shrimp scampi now? 2 customers had already asked to see the franchise location manager, Maynard Schofield. Sometimes Maynard and Skits thought the rest of the location staff didn't have the heart in their work. Sure, they did the upsell on lobsteritas, but it was like they didn't even believe that they would help the customer see food differently. That's their actual registered trademark slogan. Skits took 2 fresh blankets of biscuits out to table 2 and 12. Odd, these 2 tables needing biscuits at the same time, considering they were in 2 different sections. Did Lucy and Brandon even care about kitchen congestion practices? He shook his head as he dropped off biscuits at table 2. It was an older couple. He saw them often at the restaurant. They didn't even seem to notice him that day. Skits thought that was odd. They were both covering their mouths in horror. They didn't even thank him for the biscuits. They were practically frozen in fear. He would have to talk to Maynard about Lucy again. These customers seemed terrified. Table 25 let out the first scream. Sounds like Gary messed up the apps again, he thought to himself. There wasn't time for this today. Gary. He would deliver more biscuits to the table to make up for it. Maybe he could still salvage this customer loyalty. The weight of the world always seemed to be on him. Where were Lucy and Brandon? He scanned the dining area. No sign of either one of them. It's like they don't even care. Sometimes Skits thought he and Maynard were the only people holding franchise location E245 together. The Laughlin Mall location was the last survivor of the E240s. E241 was shut down weeks earlier. Over his dead body would he let this location fail. He cracked a smile. In the same instant, there were 5 more screams from across the room. This was going to be a tough service, just like he thought. Just as he got a hot and wrapped roll of sumptuous biscuits to table 16, he tripped on something quite large and fell on the floor. The biscuits were ruined. It was just like Brandon to leave something so big on the floor of his section. Someone could be seriously injured. Patrons were running for the door. Tables 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 22, and 36 were empty now. God, they were going down fast. Skits closed his eyes and did his breathing exercises. He looked down at his limited edition Rugrats Casio watch. Tommy Pickles pointed to 1:32 p.m. He tripped a second time, this time in Lucy's section. He was right next to table 2. That couple had already left. They were some of the first to scream, throw their silverware across the room, and tear ass for the exit. Yup, Lucy'd messed up the crab Caesars again. It was the only explanation for this, Skits thought. He left the biscuits on the table anyway. Hey, they might come back. He turned back to the kitchen and fell all the way onto the floor. Skits was pissed now. He'd put up with this crap for too long. No more. If they couldn't pull their weight around here, they had to go. He flipped around onto his back, ready to tell Lucy off for the crap job she did compared to him, the best worker Red Lobster had ever seen. But the thing he had tripped on was Lucy. There in the middle of the dining room next to table 2 was Lucy's body, dead as the day she died. A panic rushed over him. This is really going to mess up service. For me, he thought. Someone tell Brandon he's got to cover table 2. Skits screamed to the kitchen. Brandon did not respond, as he was dead over by table 13. Skits spun in the direction of the kitchen. Written in blood on the wall was seafood. differently.
Oh my god.
As
I
Dan
want the
Brown's
whole
first
book. I want the
Yeah.
whole book.
Finish it now.
It's a page turner.
I find that a lot with these things is I very much want to hear finished products or at least next chapters.
Yes.
Well, that's a whole nother worst next chapter is coming for the next pandemic, I guess.
Worst next chapters. You have to narrow it. That's tough.
Mikey Neumann, please plug your shit.
Yeah, you can check out my YouTube show where I talk about movies from a positive perspective. Go to youtube.com/filmjoy. I run it with my partner Tara, who is amazing. She also edits a show called Deep Dive on that same channel. Mine's called Movies of Mikey. Go check it out. Or don't. Go to Red Lobster. I don't care.
Will you please welcome to the podium our next reader? He is a voice actor, a writer, the co-creator of the legendary Homestar Runner franchise, shall I say. And you can't see it from his custom background right now, but I have it on good authority that he is sitting in his daughter's closet. Please welcome Matt Chapman.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. I'll save plugs for the end and just get right to it. If this goes on too long, feel free to gong show me. What I will be reading is from the 400-page instruction manual for the hit early 80s text adventure game Thy Dungeon Man, which is consisting of 395 pages of lore and 5 pages of PC instructions by Lem Sports Interviews. Chapter 1. Wake yourself, boy, rasped the old codger, sloshing a mug of cool, refreshing oatmeal square in the young man's face. Panicked, Cagan jolted up quickly from his bedroll of pulled pigeon, whole oats oozing from the patchy beard on his tender face of 5 and 5 and 5 years. I love wagons, he cried deliriously, wiping sleep out of and oatmeal into his bleary eyes. The room was dark. A silver sheen on the stone walls told Cagan that the moon was still up in the autumn sky outside, and a dull clanking announced that the bar mess downstairs was gathering up the stoneware, about to close the plodding gentry for the night. It must be around 2 full ticks past night's middle, he thought to himself, wondering what could be so important that it couldn't wait until morning's griddle. What is it, uncle? The old man didn't respond and just sat blinking, as if each closing of his gray eyes added a protective layer between himself and the life-altering news he knew he had to impart on this oat-slick boy. Uncle? A dungeon's been murdered. Cagan sucked in breath, and a couple of oats actually, causing himself to choke. A dungeon? But how? He sputtered. Of course you'd ask that, the youth, always questioning how a dank room what's made for the holding and torture of prisoners could ever be alive in the first place so as to be eligible for the act of murdering. You lot with your trendy jangled jester hats and your Uncle Prevacid, barked Cagan, sounding suddenly 1 and 2 years older. I believe you, the boy said softly, and laid a hand on his uncle's, immediately thinking better of it after his fingers touched something warm and jelly-like. He shifted his hand to one of Prevacid's knees. No, that was worse. He withdrew his hand altogether. Which dungeon? The Roost of Remington, poor devil. And it was due for an adventure next feast harvest. Might have been your first dungeon if... Cagan's uncle stopped short. My first dungeon? The boy stiffened. But I'm just the son of a savmonger. What's a murdered dungeon, or any dungeon for that matter, got to do with me? Prevacid attempted to soften, but it clearly hurt, so he went back to ornery and sighed. "'Tisn't your father or grandfather that's important." The old man leaned closer, a streak of moonlight cutting jagged across his jagged face, effectively canceling out any jaggedness. Your mother was a dungeon woman. If Cagan had been holding the mug of oatmeal, he would have dropped it to the floor and it would have shattered in slow motion to great dramatic effect. Since he was only holding the hem of his flea-ridden burlap blanket, he dropped that instead, and it just kind of went poof into his lap, although this action had a devastating effect on the fleas. But father always said me marm was a bookstacker, plain and dimpled, with a sallow face and a disposition like an unremarkable tree. He said such lovely things about her. It was all on her orders. She didn't want the dungeon life for you. Too much danger and not enough vitamin D. So she made your dad promise that when he made verbal her memory, it would sound like she was pleasant enough, a loving marm and a right perpendicular bookstacker, but fierce plain, so as not to merit any further investigations into her past. Cagan reeled, his gaze wandering about the room trying to find an anchor on which to hang this new reality, although a coat hook would probably have been more appropriate. Suddenly, a memory jumped from the dusty underbed toy box of his mind and into the fore. The paint was scratched off and its batteries had that dusty green corrosion stuff on them, but he recalled it with full clarity. That's why someone wrote Cagan's marm was a dungeon lady on the wall of the public privy that one time. I always thought it was just old Pendis from Sav School rubbing the beef on me. 'Tis no beef rub, boy. 'Tis the goat's truth. His uncle paused. Also stay away from the public privy. I hear Lek the Creepo's been sleeping in there nights. A contradiction suddenly occurred to Cagan. But if me marm asked me da to hide her dungeon history, why are you telling me now? Because she gave special orders to old Previsid, said the old man, a proud glimmer or possibly just festering cataract in his eye. Back when you were just a wee budgie, afore she left on any dungeon adventure, your marm would take me aside, roughly, mind you, had a grip like a pork viper, that one, he remembered, rubbing his shoulder, and she'd say, remember, Sid, if I don't ever return and there comes a day when you get word a dungeon's been murdered, it's time to tell the boy the truth. I'm a dungeon man? Asked Cagan hopefully. Ho ho, laughed Previsid. Don't go diapering yourself just yet, your royal highness. The sarcasm made Cagan blush stupidly. At best you're a dungeon lad, I suppose, and by birthright only. No, you've got quite a road to travel yet if you're ever to be a proper dungeon man. Cagan's shoulders sagged. He felt foolish. Just because he found out his mother was a dungeon woman didn't mean he would all of a sudden be amazing at dungeon adventures and breeze through thy dungeon school thanks to his smarter friends and unnaturally excel at the dungeon sports despite no experience with them and generally be at the center of every world-endangering dungeon conspiracy. That would be stupid and make him a very blank and uninteresting hero in the end, or defined by those around him, with his best traits feeling entirely unearned. That would work okay for his first couple of stories, maybe, with the young children who read them inserting themselves into the blank canvas of Cagan's character. But as his stories went on, readers would disconnect, finding Cagan's colorful friends and enemies more interesting, relatable, and cosplayable. He was just Cagan Savmonger III, a lad of 5 and 5 and 5 years who secretly loved wagons and still kind of believed in the tooth rot fairy. Now stop your pottering, boy, said Previsid, sensing the boy's self-consciousness. He tried to put a warmth in his tone, which mostly sounded like a sinus infection, and continued, inexperienced ye may be, but your role is of great import nonetheless. It's on you to find out who murdered that dungeon, and put a stop to it lest we lose any more. You mean I don't have a choice? What if I just want to keep mongering salves, dongering ointments, hongering balms? Cagan panted desperately. Ye do have a choice, you dolt boulder, spat Previsid impatiently, swatting his nephew with his flat dillo fur cap. Why'd you think I'm waking you up in night's middle? So if you want to run off and disappear into the Har Hills before the village awakes, ye have the chance. What, did you think I'd tell you this is your destiny and you have to follow it? I know how those stories go. They're long and full of dangers and pages of really boring songs meant to add to the mythology and all that. I'd not force that on you, boy, not unless you wanted it. Thank you, Uncle, Cagan said softly. His uncle motioned to the floor where 2 pouchels lay like obedient pets. I've packed 2 pouchels for ye. One has all you'd need to flee to the Har Hills and start a new life with a new identity as a traveling goat pretender. T'other has all the tips, tricks, and cheat codes your mom left you to take up the mantle of thy dungeon man. The choice is yours. Previsid stood from where he uncomfortably squatted at the foot of the bedroll, picking off puffs of pulled pigeon from his patched pants, and left the room. I'll be downstairs in the plodding gentry when you've made up your mind, he called back from the hallway. Cagan stared long at the pouchels, seeing his various potential futures stream out of them like fumes in the moonlight, before realizing they were actually real fumes from the grody old cheese that his uncle had packed in each. End of chapter 1.
Wow. The fact of that all coming from the instructions of a text adventure instruction book is such a narrow niche, but I live at the dead center of that niche.
Hey, it was like $49.95 for a couple thousand lines of code. You know, you had to make that count somehow. The instruction book.
Matt, please go ahead and plug your shit.
I still have a website that doesn't work on most people's computers because it's in Flash. We put a lot of that stuff on YouTube. Strong Bad has a Twitter account that's probably the most active thing, which is Strong Bad Actual. And I encourage everyone to look up a Jedi Knight mod I made for Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight in 1998 called Mechanics of the Force. I think if you look up a site called the Admiral's Command Chamber on the Wayback Machine on archive.org, you can still find it. It's a pretty good story about this droid called 3TD that somehow gets the Force, and it's cleverly named Mechanics of the Force. So that's my newest drop. I was gonna do Echo Storm's local food bank thing, but then also look at those local restaurants. There was a gluten-free place we'd always go to in our family that I know was really expensive for those poor people to run, and I don't know how they're faring, and so we've tried to like support those. So look for the place in your neighborhood that's probably very close to closing and try and help them out however you can.
Thank you, Matt. Oh, by the way, in the I'm looking at the chat here. You have quite the fan base that came to see you read in the chat. One of them mentioned, you better reveal how all the names are spelled, or there's going to be an edit war on the Homestar Runner wiki that will outlive us all. Project for you for later.
All right, cool.
I do hope to. I try to collect everyone's works for these various shows that I've done. We've been doing the show since we started on the Joko cruise and moved it to San Francisco Sketch Fest, among other places. I try to keep collecting everyone's works, and at some point I may publish them for some sort of charitable purpose. But in the meantime, this is the only place you can see them is on this live stream, or if you're watching after, or if you have a friend who can't make the live stream, you will be able to view this on the Worst First Chapter YouTube channel. Just run a search for it. Speaking of which, he said, looking over to the big board again, wow, another flurry of donations. We are up to $3,448 towards our eventual $5,000 goal. Thank you, everyone. Those of you who have donated or are able to donate, we welcome and appreciate any and all donations, no matter how small or how big. Let us go to our next author, who is an actual author. She's an author of a number of her two books, Piper Parish and Art Boss. Well, let's just say it, they kick ass.
Thanks.
And she and her husband are the guardians of the coolest dog in Los Angeles, in the entire Western Seaboard. Please welcome Kayla Cagan.
Hello, everyone. Hi, friends. I would show you our cool dog, but he's asleep right now, so I'm going to let him sleep because he's old. I will do quickly my charities that I would like to talk about, and then I will do a quick reading. And good to see you all. My quick thing is there's three because they're all really important to me. The first is No Kid Hungry. 1 in 4 children during the coronavirus will go hungry. If you have the ability to help them, I think we can all agree, no matter what your politics, you can assume that you do not want children to be hungry. So let's try and help them out. These two are also very close to my heart. Bookshop.org, who is giving back and supporting local bookstores, including comic book stores and small press stores. They've given over $1 million back to local bookstores, which help keep people employed and insured and get books to you almost as fast as the big dog who gets them to you, maybe a day later than that, but you can probably wait because you're probably just at home anyway. So help financially support independent bookstores because they are important to our community. And last one, the Freedom to Read Foundation, which is the nonprofit legal and educational organization affiliated with the American Library Association, which is very dear and near to me. And it protects and defends the First Amendment right to the Constitution, to support the rights of libraries to collect information and make it accessible to anyone. Very important that we have access to information. So let's help them out if we can, because they really need it right now. Okay, I'm done lecturing, but they're important. So I write young adult books and teen books, but I also have a big love for chick lit, especially of the 90s and early 2000s. So I thought it might be fun to take us down a little chicklet journey. Bear with me if this is not your thing. And we'll begin. The bridges of Madison Avenue. In Muma's out-of-date Classic 6 French country-style kitchen nook on the corner of 64th and Madison in Tony, Manhattan, New York City, New York State, I knew I could ask her anything. I leaned down close to her wrinkled, liver-spotted face and searched for the aged, hard-earned, spiritual-esque wisdom I would never gain because I would never go without Botox or chemical peels or, for that matter, do the work to, just get all wisdomed and stuff. Besides, Google exists, so why do I have to know everything? Or anything for that matter? We're not supposed to know everything, I argue, just the important stuff, and all the important stuff can be Googled. Or could it? Muma, tell me, why is love so hard? She couldn't hear me because she's been tone deaf for years, and I speak in such dulcimer tones that it should not have surprised me when she returned her weathered, leathered, bohemian-esque face toward me and said simply, "Pass the butter, Bonita." Being Bonita Flakes Bridges is hard. No, that's an understatement. Being Bonita Flakes Zoom influencer to 1.2 mil was simple compared to marrying into the family bridges of Madison Avenue, which was a whole other level of difficult, so difficult that I resort to French. Très difficile? That's French, right? I don't really know because I'm monolingual, which I guess, yes, hashtag humble bragging right here like it's 2007 or something. Ancient history. Anywho, Muma, either my grandmother or our house help or both, didn't answer my question and I couldn't find the butter. So I handed her olive oil and said loudly, "This is very good for you." She mumbled something about a curse and a blessing. And either way, it was probably deep because that's what old elder shaman types do. They had years to get good at being deep. So like Muma is an ancient queen goddess or something because she is many, many years old. I don't like to think about people being that old. Anyway, I needed answers to my questions. Why is love so hard? Because I, Bonita Flakes Bridges, a newlywed of approximately 8 months, was having problems with my newly acquired husband, Harold Richard Bridges, aka Harry Dickles, aka HD, aka the Dickle Monster. Tee-hee, that's my nickname for him around our place. I'm not supposed to share that because that's for cute time, but I argue I measure life by cute time. Cute by day, cute by night. That's the Bonita Flakes Bridges way. Until today. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No mo. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, oh, oh. I tried to cry to my reflection in the gold rimmed hallway mirror. If my forehead and eye creases could move, I know I would have felt it. At least I looked really, really good. Dickles wouldn't be able to resist me. An unexpected knock at the front door surprised me because it was unexpected. When I turned the gold knob, I thought perhaps a flower delivery or perhaps a gifted spa service had arrived. But there stood a man in leather trousers with leather chaps on top and a well-worn, high-crowned, wide-brimmed sable fedora upon his head. No shirt and no shoes, but certainly he might receive service. He removed his hat and placed his hat in front of his bare, oiled up, chicken paillard colored chest. I'm looking for Bonita Flakes Bridges, he said in a soft drawl. I am she, I said, standing taller and shifting to my hip, right leg slipping out of the slit of my gold leaf mini midi maxi dress just a smidge. And you are whom or who? Me or I, he said in a softer drawl. Well, I'm Thomas Kincaid, National Geographic photographer and international painter of light. My breath caught somewhere between my clavicle and my other clavicle. After all these years, I still wasn't good at breathing yet. Do enter, I smized slowly. End of chapter 1. Thank you.
I am sure I am not alone when I say that I am 100% stealing cute time.
It's all yours. It's all. We all need cute time these days. Fucking cute it up. Cute it hard. Oh,
Thank you for that, Kayla. Oh,
you're welcome.
damn.
Thanks, guys.
There's room at the podium for our next author. I'm very pleased he's here with us. He is a podcaster and he is a writer. He is an elder statesman, I say in the most flattering possible way, which isn't that really flattering in any possible way, but I have been a fan of his for a very, very long time, and it always pleases me when he bothers to take part in any dumb stuff I suggest. Please welcome to the stage, Merlin Mann.
Thank you. Tonight, I wanted to share the first chapter of a book by one of my favorite writers from when I was a kid. I'm talking about the late humorist, author, and fellow Buckeye, Irma Bombeck. Most people will remember Irma Bombeck from her warm and relatable tales of Midwestern domestic life, from her eagle-eyed take on the challenges of running a modern family, even as you're having very concerning internal monologues on the terrible regrets about your life decisions. Now, what a lot of people don't know about Irma Bombeck, or may not recall, is her renown throughout Southern Ohio for solving some of the grisliest murders of the 1970s. For something like 20 years, whenever the cops or the feds got stumped by a tricky bit of fresh morgue meat, they'd repeat that same immortal refrain, "Get me Irma Bombeck!" So in 1985, not long before she retired from solving murders to become a bounty hunter and professional biathlete, Ms. Bombeck penned one of her most beloved whodunits. So with your indulgence, I'd love to share chapter 1 of Po Buddy's Nerfict, an Irma Bombeck mystery. I've always wondered how caveman families managed to get along without just killing each other. Papa Gronk grabs his club and he heads out to hunt for saber-toothed tigers. Have a nice day. Meantime, Mama Gronk stays home and performs all the usual cave wife duties, slaughtering the tigers, tending the fire, cooking the tigers, washing all those ragged animal skins, and planning for the next tiger. And naturally, Mama is the one who walks the cave children to and from Caveman Middle School, all on top of trying to figure out who keeps moving the good scissors. Now it's a jamillion years later, and darn it, I still don't understand how she didn't just murder everybody. Speaking of murders, I recently ran into a real doozy of a dinger right in our own backyard, my backyard. I'd just gotten home from getting the oil changed on that old country Squire we like to call the battle wagon. All of my own cave kids were still at school, and my Papa Gronk, he was still off with his club at the Makis and Mandria Consolidated Accident Insurance Firm. I'm still not sure exactly what he does, but I assume it has something to do with bank vaults falling on people's heads. I don't know. Anyway, I just trotted out back to water the dandelions and fertilize the ragweed. It's springtime, you see, and all the weeds are coming in nicely. And what the heck did I see but a disemboweled body right next to the bird bath? That reminds me, I need to get a new bird bath. Some of the local cats were clawing and nibbling at the remains, and so I did my best to shoo them away. Hey, scram, you cats! Bombeck works alone. From the looks of the gutting, this hadn't been one of those fancy murders you get in, say, Columbus or Cincinnati. No way, Jose. Somebody had torn this guy up good, like a manatee with a melon, and I don't mean for serving to company. From the looks of the guy's colon, or what was left of it anyway, somebody had done a real Watusi on this fella, possibly with a 3 to 8 inch non-serrated blade, possibly with a blood gutter, which of course made me wonder if a Presbyterian had done it. I know, Catholics and Presbyterians, but believe me, in my business, you learn pretty quickly you do not want to get between a Presbyterian and the guy whose guts he wants to cut out with his large Presbyterian knife. I'm trying to get my daughter off the telephone. Forget it. From the volume of flies and the taste of the congealed blood, I'd say this poor schmo got whacked sometime overnight, which seems nutso because Mr. Gronk and I were watching Carson not more than 20 feet away, and we didn't hear a peep. Listen, Mr. Gronk, he sleeps like a log. I sleep like someone who sleeps next to a log, and the log really snores. I searched the corpse for a wallet, but the perp had obviously tried to make this look like a classic suburban backyard robbery gone wrong. Nowadays, we don't get too many robberies in our neighborhood, unless you count what the butcher's charging for lamb chops. No, sorry, I didn't make this out to be any kind of robbery. This kind of killing is personal, very intimate, like a man who rolls off you so he can towel off, relight a cigar, and change the channel. Regular domestic bliss. Before I called Chief Marco Halloran O'Shaughnessy, I scooped some of the guts back into the eviscerated body cavity. I folded up the decedent's spectacles, and hey, I'm a mom. Believe me, I've cleaned up more messes than this dingling's had hot meals. Anyway, I threw an empty kiddie pool over my newest client's body and went inside to get the chief on the blower. I had a feeling the coppers were going to need a heaping help and a Bombeck to crack this nut. And hey, if we finish early, maybe they can help me find the good scissors.
Is that it?
That's oh, wow. No, I don't want it to be over. Wow. Okay.
It's a kiddie pool. But the kiddie
Merlin, what would
I have
you
nothing.
like
I have nothing to pimp. Please do not ever notice me on the internet at all, please. But if you've got a little extra dough, it's so important you not notice me. But if you've got a little extra dough, give to a food bank in your area. Mine that I like to give a little dough to is the San Francisco Marin Food Bank, which is sfmfoodbank.org. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Merlin. Well, let's keep on going. Our next author is a actor, a voice actor, a very good friend, a longtime friend of the Paul & Storm organization. I miss your beard. Where'd your beard go, Hal?
I made it go away with magic.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
now
he's a
there's just skin there.
He's a magic man, a man of many talents and many voices. Please welcome to the speaker's podium, Hal Lublin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This book is the first chapter of a book called I'm Lovin' It, an erotic odyssey / 2018 McDonald's shift management manual. Chapter 1, Get to Know Your Store. Darren had felt this type of heat in his Crodal zone before. It meant one thing and one thing only. Kathy was back from her break, her golden tresses cascading over a name tag that burst forth like a herald from her heaving bosom. She was giving him all the hospitality cues, and he was ready to take her order. Her womanhood screamed from every pore as she returned to the fry station to report for duty. As she passed him, she whispered into his ear. The fry station is a critical part of the production area and must be assigned to a dedicated crew person when there are 8 crew on shift for an in-store or 10 crew on for a drive-through. That was all it took for him to become fully engorged. Kathy felt a stirring in her uncanny valley as the turgid member of Darren awakened like a kraken's penis. Her early bird was ready to take off, and breakfast was being served all day. Another hamburgled moment of passion was on the menu. They stole away to his 1988 Aerostar after observing proper sanitation techniques and getting coverage for each of their workstations. As kisses became nibbles, giving way to probing hands, Darren grunted the words she longed to hear. Weblog is McDonald's internet-based communication tool used by the restaurants to review and amend the order proposal, he said, while dipping his finger nuggets into her dipping sauce. To log into Weblog, enter the intranet and click on Weblog on the top banner. This will take you to the restaurant supply planning department page. And from here, you need to click on the Start Weblog icon. This will take you to the Weblog login page. His digital exploration of Kathy's McCafe intensified, as did her drive-through to orgasm. Her body was his playland, and he was hitting all the right buttons. Your login and password are both case sensitive. You will have 10 attempts to log in. Otherwise, you will be locked out for 45 minutes, he gasped. The first orgasm shook the van like a McFlurry mixer in need of its standard 90-day maintenance. He was the Mayor McCheese of her groin, and she was about to turn him into a Happy Meal toy. As she lunged for his Big Mac, they acted out their steamiest fantasy scenario. It is Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. You are the shift manager. The crew schedule is posted to the left. You have positioned your crew based on the recommended guidelines for your restaurant's operating system and sales projections and your knowledge of that crew's skill level. Her hands manipulated his supersized McRib in all the right ways as she continued their filthy role play. It has been raining all morning. According to the weather report, another 10 hours of rain is expected. Everything is stocked at the front counter and ready for the lunch rush. Haley is cleaning the lobby and mopping the floors. Carlos is stocking the prep table, and Donald is preparing salads. Matthew asks you if he can leave early since it's a slow today. He just bought a new car and is nervous about driving in the rain. Based on this information, would you make any changes to the schedule? They tore at what was left of each other's clothes, and the van began to shamrock shake. Oh, Matthew's going home, Kathy moaned. He's going all the way home. There was no stopping it now. They were McFucking. End of chapter.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna need a minute.
I used to be a closer at McDonald's, and that's a little too real. Except for the sex part, because that never happened.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
The arrow star is exactly accurate, right?
But like adhering to the rules was a huge part of my youth.
Yeah. I don't think your Birdie the Early Bird reference went unnoticed there. Al. Thank
Never.
you.
Pancakes and styrofoam, y'all.
Al, is there any event and or charity and or anything else that you would like to plug?
Sure. Ben, can I plug it?
You can, in veiled terms, I think.
There's more coming of a thing that has been happening live during the quarantine, and it has raised a lot of money for food banks, which is also something I want to plug. So stay tuned for that. And also you can follow me at Hal Lublin. I'm doing We Got This live streams, which is my podcast with Mark Gagliardi, on which quite a few people who are part of this have appeared, and the others maybe will appear. Who the hell knows? But yeah, find all my stuff there. I'm constantly recording and putting things out. I'm somehow busier now that I can't leave my goddamn home.
Thank you very much, Hal. Well, we are down to we are down to our final author of the evening. He is the co-creator of the beloved Thrilling Adventure Hour podcast and live show. He's a writer on numerous he's a writer and co-writer of numerous comic book runs, including this literally happens to be in a pile next to my computer here. And he is also the mostest birthdayest havingest guy here tonight with us. Please welcome Ben Acker.
Thanks, Paul. It's me. I'll do my plugs at the top of this thing. Follow at Thrilling ADV for to learn more about shows that we're going to do. We've done some shows, as Hal mentioned, and those are to raise money for food banks, which is a good thing to raise money for. Everybody's talking about it. How's my volume? Good?
You're great.
Great. Also follow me personally, BNACKER, on Twitter more than Instagram, because words, not pictures. And I'm going to read a thing for this thing that we're doing. This is a book called Life on the Street by your little pal Grover. Chapter 1, Hello, everybody. Hello there, it's yours truly, your little pal Grover, here to tell you something very interesting about here and there, and that is that I'm here, but I've been there, baby, and how? I've been back and forth so many times that here is there. There I was, and here I am, and I'm here to stay. If you told the kid when he was there that he'd be here someday, I'd have told you to get out of town, only I wouldn't say it so nice. But here I am. How'd I get from here to there to where I am now? Well, that's the story I mean to tell, so buckle up, Buttercup, because the rides just don't come bumpier. Full disclosure, there's a monster, baby. He's at the end of this book, and he's at the beginning of it. He's all through it. Is it me? You bet. Do I have regrets? Sure. Would I change a single second? You bet your ass I would. Fair warning, the story you're about to read is a golden book, is in solid gold, and you can take that all the way to the bank, but it's also graphic. I'm not only going to tell you where the bodies are buried, but who held the shovel. You know, there used to be 3 gape-mouthed Martians, but one of them couldn't handle his yip, 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 booze and pills. Not that the kid was an angel or a saint or even a guy who would give you directions around the corner. Baby, when I was brought to you by the letter C, there was no stopping me. You could call me Super Grover, and when you'd call me, I'd come. Jesus, there were some days where that was all I did. I heard Linda Lavin's pelvic bone break, and I made a wish. Get your mind out of the gutter. It was a skiing. We were skiing on a mountain of cocaine. But what was the wish? Well, if I tell you, it won't come true, but it did come true. I wished for more of the C. I was a monster for it. C is for cookie, sure. But it's also for cocaine, and baby, that was good enough for me. Did it chew me up and spit me out feeling fuzzy? Absolutely. Blue every time. But I was brought to you by the letter C that was brought to me by the letter M and the number 13. That's right, baby. The Mexican Mafia was the Mexican Mafia were my tap for hot and cold running booger sugar, and the spigot never stopped till it was too late and the tub she did overflow. I lost time all the time, but I made up for it by blacking out. You know that one song? For me, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12. How else would I wind up in a hot tub with Ange Dickinson, Margot Kidder, Gordon Dave, and a certain trash can grouch, all of us ripped to the gills on Rubber Ducky, which was a grim cocktail of cocaine, peyote, and ether Ernie invented when Bert was out of town on one of his pilgrimages. See, Bert wasn't into our lifestyle, not since he met the Maharishi. He was chasing another high, a higher plane, and damned if I didn't respect the hell out of him for it. But I'll get into all of that and more. What a bridge is for, if not burning. You'll see. We'll get there. But first, you're asking yourself, how did the kid, a waiter in a one-table restaurant, become the biggest star in the world? Ask yourself this. What do those things have in common? Work ethic. The kid may seem easygoing, but scratch that surface and take a look. Underneath the kid is a perfectionist, a lover, a dreamer. That's me all over and twice on Sunday. You want to know how to get to Sesame Street? I'll tell you, baby, hard work. Were there sunny days? Sure. Was the air clear as a glass bell? Was everything A-okay? Not in a million years. One more thing. If you're hoping I'll say a single word against Big Bird, put the book down right now. Walk away, Charlie. This is that kind of book, but he's not that kind of guy. Never was, never will be. Big Bird was the best of us, and anyone who says different is lying, selling something, or a low-down scumbag with a bullshit European title of nobility and a thing for underage numbers. This one's for you, Hooper, you crazy, beautiful son of a bitch. You always said it was better to burn out than to fade away. Well, you got your wish, and here I am doing the other thing. Living to tell the tale. So let's get telling.
You bet your ass you did.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The live stream couldn't see it because we're just on speaker view when you're going, but I think you were physically harming Merlin during several portions of that.
He was not crooning. Oh, that was...
And you did your plugs already, right, Ben? Yes, you did. Well, that takes us to the end of this evening session of Worst First Chapter. Let's take one more look at the big board, hit the old refresh. $3,764 raised so far. Yay! Thank you all so very, very much for your donations. You can donate anytime. The URL again is bit.ly/worstfirstdonate. Thank you to all of you who joined us for the live stream this evening. This will be available on the Worst First Chapter YouTube channel again for future watching. So if you know people who you think you would enjoy this or didn't have a chance to come see it tonight, please pass the word on. We really appreciate it. This is genuinely so much fun doing this with all of you. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Reading across my screen, Hal Lublin, Ben Acker, Merlin Mann, I almost said Mark Champion, Matt Chapman, Joseph Scrimshaw, Mikey Neumann, Storm DiCostanzo, Laser Malena-Webber, and Kayla Cagan. Thank you all so much. We will
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Paul.
thank you, Paul.
Thanks, man.
it's a genuine pleasure. We are doing one more. There's one more Worst First Chapter scheduled for Wednesday evening, May 20th at 9 p.m. again. Information coming out about that real soon. Otherwise, everyone, if it's not cliche to say, stay safe, stay sane, and stay healthy. And we love you all, and we'll see you soon enough, online or in person. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
I have to hit a different button to stop the live stream.
Ooh.
Other computers do.
Grover.
Yes, I want to end the stream.